Today, I'm going to interview my amazing friend, Angela Zaragoza. She is a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur, an investor, and does it all at the same time. Hey, thank you for joining us. I'm hanging out with my good friend, Angela Zaragoza. We've actually known each other for 30 years?
Yep. A long time.
And we're friends, we're business partners, and Angela is mom, wife, investor, business operator, multiple business operator. And so what I wanted to do today was chat with you about what made you decide to open your own business? How did you get there?
Well, I had worked in real estate for a long time, I don't even know, 12 years-ish. And I saw these people around me doing all these things. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? I don't want to just work for these people. I want to work with them and be an equal. And that's why I opened a business.
And what business did you open?
So in the very beginning, I actually had an accounting business I did for a little while, and I helped agents with that. But my real business I opened was Northwest Escrow and Title. And I also opened it because I wanted to still work with the agents, just not for the agents. I wanted to be more independent. And so I opened it. I started it from scratch, didn't know what I was doing, and went from there.
And how many years has that business been in business now?
It officially opened in 2018. I started opening it in 2017, but it took me 8 months to get it to actually open.
Well, it's not easy to open a title or an escrow business. So what Angela's doing is she's underplaying what you have to do with good old DFI and those institutions. How much work was it to actually get it open?
It was a lot. So initially I tried to open title and escrow. And the title underwriters didn't want to work with a new company. They weren't taking new companies. They wanted nothing to do with me. So I talked to everybody. I was going down the right path. And it just never came to fruition. And they wanted us to have experience and they wanted all the things. So finally, after running in circles for a few months, I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to go open escrow, get this moving, and I'll worry about title later. So that's what I did. So I changed my license from the insurance commissioner to the Department of Financial Institutions, and I was off and running.
Cool.
Very hard.
And so what challenges did you have starting a business from scratch that's not a franchise, that you didn't have, decades of experience in? That's what I want to get to, because as your friend, I love you, and I'm freaking amazed at the amount of things that you do, and that, you're able to start this completely from scratch.
It was a lot. So initially, I just went on my friend Google and just went wild. I found all the rules, and I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. I did all that, and then I was like, oh, wait, you need this license. What do I do for that? And I just found the right people. I searched for people that could do what I needed. So it took a long time just to find the right person to have in place. And at the time, I also had a job. So not only did I have a paying full-time job, I also was trying to open a business from scratch. So I had to find the person or I wasn't going to be able to operate. And so that's what I did. I found the people, did the research, had some errors, had some goods and some bads, and lots of meetings. And I just did it.
So you started a business through literally leverage of finding the right person with the right license so that you could open an escrow company. And then where'd the first customers come from? How did that start? I mean, because what's interesting, what I want people to hear is you had a full-time job. You started another business through leverage and finding the right people. And then how'd the business get moving? Where did it find business after that?
Well, since I had been in business for 12 years, or already been in real estate for 12 years, I was able to just reach out to my sphere and I just kept putting it out there. I went to events all the time in the day and the night, whenever I could. I tried to work from home 2 days a week for my full-time job. And when I worked from home, I was more working on getting customers in the door. So yeah, I just went to all the agents I knew and said, please use me, give me a try. Obviously it didn't start huge. We weren't making massive amounts of money or anything. It was hard to find the business. You really have to network. But people trusted me because I came from a financial background. And so they knew that I must know something.
And then what would you say has been your market differentiator, or why do customers come back, or what do they say about the business?
We thrive on customer service. My one thing for opening the business was like, we're going to be the best we can with customer service, period. If we can't provide the service the right way, then we shouldn't be providing the service at all. And that's what we do. We make sure we go above and beyond. And that's how I am with literally everything. Is being in real estate, I saw a lot of things fall through the cracks and a lot of poor service, not from just real estate agents. I mean, just as a whole, there was a lot of bad service. And so I also wanted to open escrow because I was like, whoa, I can do such a better job and provide such a better service. So yeah, that's number one.
So next, I want to shift gears. So mom, wife, job, business. How do we fit all that in together? Because that's a lot. How do you balance that and have a life and stay healthy?
I would say in the beginning, I didn't. I didn't do a good job. I would say like I relied on my husband a lot. I had a teenager and a elementary kid, and I got home late every night. I worked hard. I didn't do it successfully, I would say, the first 6 to 12 months. But after it was probably 6 months, I would say, I finally was like, okay, this can't happen anymore. I have to be off at 5 o'clock every day, no matter what. And that's what I did, unless I had an event or something. But I set boundaries, which was very hard for me to do. But boundaries are the only way I was able to continue to be a good wife and a good mom.
I want to go a little deeper into that for a second, because you love your family and you also made a big sacrifice and change, for them. What was that? Let's walk us through it. And then would you say that's worth it now? I mean, you get a lot better sunny weather than us.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, almost to the date, my youngest daughter hadn't been in school for like a year and a half. And I'm like, you know what? If we're going to not go to school, then we have nothing really tying us to anywhere. We had been operating escrow basically remotely for so long that because of COVID, that I was like, oh, and I can do this from anywhere. And again, I put the right team in place. And then I picked up and we moved to Arizona on a whim. We put our house on the market, like February, March maybe. It sold within a couple months. We had to do a 1 month rent back, and we had already bought a house in Arizona. And I moved without my husband even, because I wanted to get my daughter into a real school again. I wanted her to see people and get out of her bedroom. And so we picked up and moved. And I would say it was very difficult. 3 years later, it's still difficult, but it has been great, because now when I work on my business and I'm in person, I value it more and everybody values me more. And so that's been really wonderful. And then I also, the sun helped. Opening a business, I wasn't super healthy because there's no time. If I'm taking care of my kids and my husband and all the things, I didn't take care of me. So Arizona has allowed me to take care of myself because it's sunny and I work out all the time.
And you look good and you lost a bunch of weight. So how did you do that? Because I mean, you changed where your family was living, uprooted everything for the good of the family, which is awesome. Everyone's doing better. And then you went and got massively healthier. So how did you make that transition too?
Well, it all started with boundaries and creating boundaries around myself. I had zero boundaries and I still struggle with boundaries, but I think that's where it all started, is saying, okay, so initially I woke up one day, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm unhealthy. I'm turning 40. Like, what the heck am I doing? I need to be here for my kids. So I started with just eating really, really healthy in the beginning, and I lost like 60 pounds
Seriously?
just by eating healthy.
I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Oh, good job. Holy cow.
Yep. And I did really well. I exercised, but like a little, not a ton. And then I gained like 20 pounds back, maybe like last year actually, because our family was going through some stuff and whatever. And now I work out. I lost that. I'm actually down like 75 pounds from where I initially started. And I do it I get up in the morning. I go for a walk with my husband very early. We go like 3.5 miles or more. That's when we get our time in to talk. No kids. We get to talk about whatever we want with no judgment.
Yeah.
And it's like our bonding time.
It's
and
quality time.
Yeah, it's great. And his love language is quality time, and mine is too. So it works great for us. It keeps our marriage good. And we've been together for 20 years. So that's super important. And then I walk my dog another 3 miles so that I can listen to podcasts. And I just kind of like zone completely out when I walk her, because I don't have to talk to anybody. I just listen to podcasts and don't pay attention to anybody around me. And then I ride my bike for another 6 to 10 miles also, like right after. And when I do that, I listen to music so that it kind of pumps me up and gets me ready for the day.
Awesome.
And yeah, so 3 hours later, I get home, get ready, and go straight to work.
And so basically you've put together like a cardio routine that is also a relationship maintenance routine, that's also a learning routine, that's just the start of your morning.
Yeah, every day.
That's amazing.
I'm done every day by 7:30 in the morning and ready to rock.
I love it. How do you handle failure or setbacks? What's happening? Work me through your thought process for our listeners.
Well, I hate failure.
We all do.
I feel like failure is what held me back for a long time. And so now if I fail, I just figure out how I'm going to not fail. Like, what can I do to fix this, or just go around it? Because failure is more of just an obstacle. It's not a stopper. It's just an obstacle. So I just go around it.
So, you're a female entrepreneur. What advice would you give to female entrepreneurs? Because, there's definitely a difference between being a male entrepreneur and being a female entrepreneur. So what advice would you give to them specifically as they want to get started?
First thing is, I would say, don't be scared to just take the action. I feel like there was so many things that I put off that I knew I could do, including this. And I waited till I was older, and I wish I would have started sooner. I do think waiting helped me because obviously I'm a little wiser, and each year I get a little more blunt. I get a little more vocal and I communicate a lot now that I'm older. I don't have as many cares, so I'm able to excel better now than I was before. But I really think just taking the leap and not being afraid of failure and setting boundaries right out of the gate, because without boundaries, you will just get stomped on, and that's tough.
What would you say the biggest mistake is that you've made?
I would say hiring people can be very challenging, and I think sometimes we do that out of desperation. And when you hire people out of desperation, it can create such a toxic environment. And when you have a toxic environment, it's very hard to run a successful business because you're constantly fixing and coming behind and babysitting and all those kind of things. So I would say slowing down to hire and really making sure that the people you are hiring are the people that you want to work with.
Yeah.
Not the ones you need. You want them.
And they want to be there too.
Yes. And people that believe in the business, like people can like you all day long, but if they are not believing in the business they're in, then they're not going to work as hard as you want them to or care or provide the service that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to stand by the business, believe in the why of the business, the purpose of the business and its people, to kind of be like a part of that culture, to, carry the torch when you're not there, or just to properly represent the business. Mm-hmm. So we talked about mistakes really quick. If you had to start all over and you're going to start a new business, what would you do differently, or what would you do if you were to start your next business? What would that look like?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. I just keep starting them and probably doing the same things over and over again. But I think just having a solid plan, and something I'm actually working on now, is really knowing your number and knowing from the beginning why you're starting it, what your intentions are, and how long you plan on doing it. Because most people aren't going to have the business forever, or maybe you want the business forever, but I think you have to know that in the beginning. Otherwise, it's super important to know your numbers.
Yeah. And you kind of begin with the end in mind.
Yes.
You set out with a specific intention of where it's going, who we're going to do, who the ideal customer is. Going back to people, let's say some other entrepreneur has made that mistake and they've hired the wrong person. How do they know when they need to get rid of them? Or what would they be feeling? What would they be seeing? What's kind of the red flags that you were talking about? Because I agree with you. People are one of the hardest parts of any business. They're the most amazing part and the hardest part all at the same time.
Yes. I think some of the red flags I had were befriending them. And sometimes when you befriend people as the owner, they tend to treat you more like a friend instead of an owner. So when you're speaking to them about disciplinary things and you're asking them to do things that maybe they're uncomfortable with, they tend to walk all over you. And I think really setting that hard line. I am very friendly. I want to be best friends with everybody. I'm a genuine relationship builder. So I won't even work with people unless they're not genuine human beings. And I think that's the biggest red flag is you can't befriend them. But also I think just I've had people who I would ask to go to events or teach a class or something, and they'd say yes. And then every single time the class would come, they'd be sick or something like that. That's a red flag. If one person is making the entire staff feel really bad or making another person cry or something like that, probably get rid of them because that's not good either. So I think there's a lot of red flags you can see that are very obvious, and really pay attention to your numbers because, again, sometimes internal people can do things with your numbers that you don't notice. Yeah. Until one day you notice.
Yeah, it's fudged or pushed towards the line, and then all of a sudden now it's a problem.
Yeah.
How do you handle criticism or negative feedback in relation to you or the business?
I don't. No, I'm just kidding. I would say I don't get a lot of negative feedback because I work really hard to try to avoid it. But when I do, I just take action with whatever it is. If
that's where I was going.
My staff did something, then guess what? I'm going to talk to my staff immediately and I'm going to say, hey, what's going on here? And I'm going to get both sides of the story. And then I will always play devil's advocate for both sides. So no matter what, I will take the customer side and I'll take my staff side but I'll do it to both of them.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important. And one thing I've learned too is that you really got to back up your staff.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen you do over the years is when there's a problem or a situation, what you do is like you go take action, you communicate, and then you like try to build the bridge, put the fire out, and just get it done with. Like, okay, it's not like, okay, this is an issue or a problem. Let's just solve it, get it done so we can move on to the next item.
No, I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Because I think we all make mistakes. We're human beings. We're gonna screw up. That's life. But I think as long as you communicate and everybody knows what happened, then it shouldn't happen again.
Shouldn't. Sometimes it does.
It might, but usually we talk about it.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears and we'll come back to entrepreneurship in a second. You've also been a real estate investor. Why did you buy your first property? I think this is a funny story.
So I have this really crazy friend, Anton, who came to me one day and was like, dude, why don't you own any other houses? What's going on? What do you do with your money? And I was like, I don't freaking know. I don't even know where my money is. And he's like, buy a property. So I committed to it. And when I commit to something to somebody, I have to do it because I'm not going to not. That's stupid. So my beautiful friend talked me into it. I had a very low budget of like $200,000 at the time. And I looked all over Washington State, couldn't find anything for $200,000. That's like not even real. So I thought outside the box and I called my dad, who's in Michigan, and said, hey, you know anybody selling a house? And he said, as a matter of fact, the neighbor is. So neighbor was selling a lakefront property for $250. I offered him $200, and there we go. Had our first investment.
So, okay. I love how you make this sound so simple. And I want to
so easy.
I want to break this down. One, here's what I love. I harassed my friend, and then what she said was she said, okay. And then once she says okay, she takes massive action. So what the part of the story she's not telling you, she instantly went and got pre-approved. She instantly started figuring out where the down payment was. She didn't have a property, but she started getting all of the ducks in a row to be able to go execute. Starts hunting around and is asking everyone, more than just her dad, everyone for a property. So I want to say, if I had to guess, she probably asked 50 people. Then finds a deal for $250, buys it for $200, so gets 50 grand off, or what is that, about 25% off? Mm-hmm. That's called a smoking real estate investment.
Yeah.
Finished the pre-approval, went and bought it, and this whole thing took what? It was like 60 days. I mean, it was quick.
It was very fast. Very, very fast. Because again, I said yes, and when I say yes, I mean it, but I don't say yes very often or lightly. So, but I knew that you were right. I knew you were right. And I knew that my money was just like, I was just blowing it. I had really nice shoes, great clothes, all the things. I owned my house that I lived in.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anything else.
And so that then kind of gave you the confidence, right? Mm-hmm. And then what did you go purchase after that?
So with that one, we did it as an Airbnb because we wanted to make some money off of it, and wasn't going to live in Michigan. So we had that one. Then we went to Arizona. My parents had a house in Arizona that they were going to sell, and they wanted a certain amount for it. And I also wheeled and dealed with them. And I got another house in Arizona, and that was maybe like, I don't even know, maybe 6 months later, because I'm like, well, shoot, that was like not that bad.
That wasn't that bad.
No. So I did it again. So I bought a house in Arizona, tried to Airbnb it, didn't really go great. So we long-term rented that one. And then pretty much every year for the next few years, we just bought another one. I bought another one in Arizona, where I negotiated the price on that one too, because I was like, this thing's too expensive. And then we Airbnb'd that one a lot, made lots of money off of it from COVID, and then during COVID. And then I bought another house in Florida. And so at one time we had 5 of them. And since then, what happened is I sold 2 of them so that I can either lend my money to other people or I can buy more units, because now I don't want to just do houses. Now I want to do multifamily or apartments or something bigger.
I love it. I love it. So this is the progression that I think a lot of investors go through that people should be paying attention to. They buy one. Hey, that wasn't that bad. They get another one. And Angela just sped up her progression and just did it very rapidly, probably because of the network and the people you hang out with. And then sold 2 of them in order to be able to do some private money notes and move into multifamily. That's totally fine. See, one thing that I think the general public forgets and that investors forget is we always assume everything's just going to be a hockey stick all the way up to the right. And it is over the long term, but there's times where it moves up and down, where you have less units, you're buying units, you're selling, or you're just annoyed by that property, so you want to sell it and get rid of it. I've done that one many times. And you just want to loan the money out for a second. And then this afternoon, you said, well, hey, you got any more deals? I was like, oh yeah, we got this deal, this deal, this deal, and this deal. And by the way, the capital over there in Everett should be back to you in 60 days. So 1, I appreciate you being a private money lender on that deal. And 2, look forward to doing more. Now I want to flip back to being an entrepreneur. So the reason I'm going through all of this, I'm trying to illustrate that, have you had basically a full-time job the whole time you've also been an entrepreneur?
The entire time since 2017, yes, except for 6 months.
So that's what's crazy is a lot of people think they can't do something because they have a full-time job. My good friend has started multiple businesses and ran multiple businesses while having a full-time job.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. And so if you were to look back and look at where you started and now look at where you are today, what would you say the most important skills for a female entrepreneur to have or to build for them to have a good business?
Confidence. I think once you realize that you can do it, people just come to you, and it's less of you going to them. So for instance, with Northwest Escrow, I changed it to escrow. And then not too long ago, I was like, all right, I'm ready to get my title license back and I'm ready to do this. And I reached out to one person and then referral. And so all the difference is that, yeah, sure, we had some revenue under our belt, but it was more that I was confident and knew what I was talking about. I knew exactly what I was saying. I knew exactly what everything was. I knew what to do. And that's number 1. And not being afraid to just go to the event or talk to the person or even ask for the next deal. Are
you an extrovert or an introvert? Let's be really blunt.
I'm extremely introverted, and I highly dislike having to go out of my comfort zone. So having confidence is hard because it's hard to be introverted and confident at the same time.
That's really what I wanted to get to. 1, I'm extremely proud of you, is that some people, what they'll do is they'll say who they are as their natural personality style, and they'll use that for a crutch. And I know that you're an introvert, but you've become a successful entrepreneur, a successful investor, and have a great career and a family, all at the same time. Which, is any of that easy, or is all that super hard?
Very hard. It's very hard to juggle. And it's, especially a family. I mean, gosh, I like vacations, and it's hard to have teenagers and all the things. So my number 1 priority is my family, but I also want to be cool.
If you had to start over, what would you do differently, or how would you start this different?
I don't know if I would start it different, because I think that all of the stumbling blocks that I had have helped me be better now. Yeah. I think the only thing I still fail at is time management. I do struggle with time management, and I'm constantly late and all the things, but I make my family priority. So that's probably why I'm late a lot. But yeah, I don't think I would change anything. I think I would do it all similar.
What are your future plans for your businesses or your goals?
So right now, my future plans, I would say, is I want to open title and escrow in Arizona because part of having the confidence, I got lots of referrals to where I currently live.
Yeah.
And I also spoke with somebody who just opened my eyes. I was very blind and thought I could only do things in Washington because that's where I lived and I couldn't go outside of Washington. And then
It's where your network is, where your sphere was.
yeah, so I wasn't going to go anywhere else. And then I talked to this woman that was amazing and she just told me all the things and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so dumb. So I would like to open title and escrow in Arizona. And then I'd like to just grow the businesses that I'm a part of. And eventually I want to sell them someday and just, that's my retirement.
I love it. I love it. Anything else that you would like to share that we didn't go over?
I would just say that, I'm very stressed out a lot, but I also have a lot of patience and I feel like I'm the best version of myself right now. I don't yell. I don't get mad. I've created my own, I call it an F it bucket. So every day I think whatever stress I have, anger, anything, sadness, whatever, I put in this F it bucket and I dump it out every night. And when I wake up in the morning, I wake up clean. Everything's clean. Clean slate. Whatever I was mad about the day before, I'm not mad about. Whatever made me sad, I'm not sad about. I try to start every day like it's the first day.
I love it.
It's very hard.
No, and that's wisdom. That's letting go. That's being at peace. That's moving forward. How can people get a hold of you, Angela?
Oh my gosh, so many ways. Northwest Escrow and Title, obviously, in Washington. So I'm there. I'm on social media with Northwest Escrow. I also have STR Property Management in Arizona and all over. And I also WA Insurance Group in Washington and Arizona. So I'm really everywhere. I'm on social media as my name.
Yeah, and what's funny is we really only talked a lot about escrow. We never even got to insurance or property management.
Those are just side hustles.
Oh, I love it.
That's it.